Hello everyone, it's Jasmine and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over all of the books that I read in November. I know it's the middle of December, I know it's very late to be posting this video, but I had already filmed this and I just didn't like the footage. And I asked you guys if you still wanted to see what I read in November, and a lot of you guys said yes, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna refilm this and post it really late. So last month I read 3 physical books and 1 ebook on my Kindle. All of these books are 18 plus. Please look up any content and trigger warnings before reading it. Something that I think is okay for me to read can be different from you. Like, we all have a different tolerance and a different mindset. So please keep that in mind, and please look up anything before reading. Before we get started, I hope you guys could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And keep on watching if you want to see what I read in November. Starting off strong, I read The Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy. She is thick. First, I just want to say thank you to Valentine PR and Monica Murphy for sending me this book. They sent this to me, I think, over the summer, and I'm a huge mood reader. Decided to pick it up in November, and wow, I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It became my all-time favorite high school bully romance. We follow Whit Lancaster and Summer Savage. They meet one time when they were younger, like 14. Fast forward to high school, they run into each other again, and he hates her. Like, hates her, and she has the same hatred for him. But there's this like weird attraction that they have to each other. They both have very like messed up pasts, and they see that in each other. They can see the same darkness that each one has, and he basically blackmails her into being a friend with benefits, but they're not friends. And he keeps trying to like ignore his feelings for her, but he just has a strong attraction for her. I hate everyone in the world but you. I hate you so much, but I can't stop thinking about you, kind of thing. She has these feelings for him and keeps admitting it, but he keeps wearing her down, and you just see all the drama unfold, and then like their relationship builds up and stuff like that. I personally really enjoyed this. It is private school, rich kid, enemies to lovers, hate hookups. There is a lot of degrading in this, so if you don't like that, I don't recommend reading this because it's a high school bully romance. There's going to be some things that are just red flags, but meant to be read for entertainment and not meant to be romanticized. With that information, take what you will. I know a lot of people also have a problem with reading about high school. This is high school, and they are 17 turning 18 their senior year. For me personally, I don't have a problem with reading that because I watch shows like Gossip Girl, One Tree Hill, Vampire Diaries, Teen Wolf, all those shows like in high school, and those characters are like sophomores in high school and like doing stuff. I personally don't have a problem with reading books like this. Speaking of Gossip Girl, this book definitely gave me Gossip Girl vibe. Whit gives me major Blair Waldorf vibe. If Blair was a dude, I can totally see her doing this. And he's like a mix of like Chuck and Blair, you know, so those two together, yes. And then Summer Savage, she's giving me Dan Humphrey, but I didn't like Dan watching the show and I liked her. She's just kind of like the girl on the wrong side of the tracks, you know? Doesn't fit in sort of thing. But I literally had no expectations going into this book because I've never seen anyone talk about it, and it became my all-time favorite high school bully romance. I freaking loved it. Like, the bullying, the relationship, it was so entertaining. I am a big lover of like anti-hero. I don't know what it is, but it's just seeing someone you're not supposed to like, but you like them, you know? And I just felt like that's what this book was. This book was just entertaining, from like the rich kid drama, the spice, the complicated relationship. I really enjoyed the story development, and then just how 2 broken, dark people found something in each other. I thought that was sweet. I thought it was cute. I became very fond and very attached to Whit and Summer. I read the last 60% in one sitting because it was just that good. I couldn't put it down. There was so much happening. I just needed to see how it all was going to play out. My one issue is that there's like a huge time jump at one point. I needed more of the in-between. I just needed a little bit more, which is why I couldn't give this book 5 stars, but I gave it 4.5. I definitely recommend this book if you love rich private school. I'm a sucker for like boarding private school. I don't know what it is, but there's something about them. The books are just that good. If you love enemies to lovers, if you love hate hookups, if you like degrading, if you like dom sub, then this is the book for you, and I definitely recommend. Bully romances aren't meant for everyone, and if you don't like bully romances, that's okay, but just know that as someone who reads bully romance, there's nothing wrong with reading it. All fiction, and as long as you can separate real life from fiction, I think it's okay. Anyways, 4.5 out of 5 stars. became a new all-time favorite. The next book I read is a very popular book from this author and a popular book talk book. It wasn't for me. November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Yeah, in November 9 we follow Ben and Fallon. They meet each other on November 9 and they basically agree to meet each other on the same day every single year without talking to each other in between that time. I know that this is a very popular Colleen Hoover book, but to me it was just so insta-love. It just didn't do it for me. I feel like in contemporary romance there is some sense of realism in it, whether or not the things going on. It seemed too good to be true. They meet each other once and then they don't talk for a year. And somehow within that year of not even speaking to each other, their feelings consistently keep growing. It just didn't make sense for me. A lot of people also talk about how it's a crazy plot twist and things, whatever, but I predicted like half of the book going into it. I don't know if the plot twist is what makes people enjoy it so much. Just for me personally, it just seemed very predictable. It was really insta-love. And then Ben, he was just like a walking red flag to me. I just feel like a lot of his choices were very not my typical book boyfriend who I would go for kind of thing. He just didn't do it for me. I just personally felt very underwhelmed reading this. I feel like in other books, traditional relationships, we kind of get to see that build up in the relationship. We see when they first meet, their first date, their second date, when they continue to talk through text or like over the phone. We kind of see those feelings start to grow and develop, versus here I feel like we literally didn't get that. And I think that's what I was missing in the relationship. Never saw something progress or build. It was just all taking place within year gaps. I didn't know how I felt about it. For myself, I can't even really pinpoint a part where the relationship kind of took off or took a turn, because I just missed it. It flew over my head. I also thought that just some of the events that happened were just extremely unnecessary and like it didn't need to happen. But I know this is a popular book, so if you did like it, take my opinion with a grain of salt, please. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It was a very fast-paced book, so I read it in like 3 days, I think. But overall, 3 out of 5 stars. I personally wouldn't recommend this book just because I didn't personally enjoy it, but I do know this is very popular. BookTok loves it. A lot of my friends love it. You might like it. It just wasn't for me. Then the next book I read on my Kindle. I read Riot House by Callie Hart. I just want to say thank you to Miss Callie Hart for sending me all 3 books in the series. I've only read the first one though, and I'm very much looking forward to reading the other 2 books in the series. So I gave Riot House a 3.5 to 3.75 out of 5 stars. The reason is because I was under the impression that this was going to be a dark enemies to lovers high school bully romance, when it wasn't. There was definitely dark academia vibes, but they didn't give me enemies to lovers, and it definitely wasn't a bully romance. It starts out with Elodie. She moved and she goes to a new boarding school, and there is Ren, who's kind of like the known bad boy of the school. Him and his friends, they have this house and they're just known as the troublemakers, just, you know, that group of guys. And he tries to make her life miserable, but only for a day. He hates her for a day. He's just very infatuated with her. When you first read it, you see like I want to ruin her life, like I want to make her life here hell, blah blah blah. And she's just kind of like, oh, get away from me. After like 3 days, I want to change for her. I want to be a better person. I want to get to know her. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting a little more enemies. So I think that's where my rating fell, just because I had certain expectations. I wish I could go into all books blind, because I feel like if I didn't have expectations that my rating would change, you know. But I do think that this was a good read. It was a little slow in the beginning, but around like I think 40% it picked up. There was definitely a lot of mystery, and towards the end I was very surprised. It took a very dark turn. I expected them to bully each other, hate each other, but it just went from straight up hating each other to all of a sudden like, I want to change for you. So I just thought it was a little misleading. I don't know. We find more about Elodie's past, some mysterious disappearances, and a secret some students have kept for a year. I couldn't put the book down when a lot of this was happening because I was honestly in complete shock. I did not expect a lot of the things that happened to happen at all, and I was just really interested to see how it was all going to play out. While it did get really interesting for me, I felt like the ending kind of fell short for me. It had this huge climax and plot point in the book, and then the ending was just not as eventful. I just think that it would have been a higher rating for me if I didn't expect it to be a bully romance and had a change of heart particularly fast. However, I do think this was a really fun read. I feel like if you're into dark academia, boarding school, you're gonna like this. I do recommend this book. It was a solid read with likable main and side characters, good romance, interesting backstory, and I'm honestly really excited to read the rest of the series. The next book, Couple, I have been excited to read because their banter in the first book, love. So I'm really excited to finish up the rest of the series. 3.5 out of 5 stars. I recommend reading. The last book I read in November put me in the biggest book slump, biggest book hangover ever. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Really enjoyed this. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I posted a reading vlog on this, so I'll put it in the cards, but I share a lot of my thoughts on the book there. It follows Tate and Miles. Tate moves in with her brother and she meets Miles, who is her brother's neighbor slash like best friend. They're both pilots and he has basically a traumatic past and they become friends with benefits. Because of his past, he doesn't want anything serious to happen with her. She starts to gain feelings and you can kind of see where that leads to. Overall, I really enjoyed the book. It became one of my all-time favorites. I didn't think this was going to be 5 stars for me until I read like the last 8 chapters of it, but I ended up really loving it. The first like 70% of it, I was just like, what the heck is going on? But like the last part of it, I was just like, yes, yes, yes. Loved it so much. If you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts, go watch my Ugly Love vlog because that video is me talking all about this book and sharing all of my thoughts. Overall, 5 out of 5 stars. And that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me talking about all the books that I read in November. My 2 personal favorites for the month were Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy and Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. As of right now, I am currently reading on my Kindle. I'm reading Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. She sent me an ARC and definitely putting me in the holiday spirit, Christmas mood. Once this month is over, I will be going over all of my 5-star reads for 2021 and making a video on that. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.